And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
I'd be lying if I said I don't kind of enjoy it when Jalen Rose is in here. Because it brings an opportunity to have some other voices on the show. Some other colleagues. Joined today by Marcus Spears. Thank you so much for doing the program.
Man. I'm a fanboy right now.
Appreciate you taking the time out. We'll have Ryan Russillo on the show later. This is our podcast exclusive. We don't just give our podcast listeners a audio version of the TV show. We give them some exclusive content.
Love it.
And
appreciate you having me, bro. A lot of confidence in putting me on this show. Now it might get canceled.
I'm very confident in this.
Okay.
We're on the verge of getting canceled every sentence here.
Well, I'm good.
Yeah, the executives watch though, so be careful.
Cool.
Jimmy Butler blew everything up. Jimmy Butler is a saboteur. He's a terrorist. Jimmy Butler, I'm not reporting to training camp. I'm not going to come to practice. He's like, oh, you guys want me to come to practice? Fine, I'll come to practice. Not only did he go to practice, he played with the third stringers, and then he won the game with the third stringers, trash-talked all the starters, trash-talked the front office, then talked to Rachel Nichols, and guess what canceled today? Not our show yet.
Not yet.
The Timberwolves canceled practice today.
Sure they did.
Jimmy Butler's pulling all the strings.
You know what? They don't want goons and savages in the building.
No,
so they're trying to figure out how to get Jimmy Butler the hell out of there before we got practice again.
It makes him uncomfortable.
Look, dude, it is $300 million tied up in Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins, and the best player on your team going at their neck.
Every day.
That's a bad situation.
And winning the game. You know the GM was sitting there like, y'all better win.
Yep.
Y'all better win this game.
So that's the point now, Cole. Where do you go from here?
Well, They canceled practice.
But no, I'm saying for the season. Jimmy Butler just wrecked your starters, per se, with the guys that don't even play.
But not only that, and then he walked out the door before practice was over. He's not going to any meetings, and then he goes straight to an interview with Rachel Nichols and had this to say. Let's listen.
So, boy, you had an eventful day.
You could say that.
You returned to practice for the first time with the Wolves, and I'm just gonna read a little bit of Adrian Wojnarowski's report on what happened there. That you were loud, emotional, passionate, we like to say, targeting Coach Tom Thibodeau, teammates like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, that you told GM Scott Layton, quote, "You effing need me." How would you describe what happened today?
A lot of it's true. A lot of it is true. But you got to think, I haven't played basketball in so long, and I'm so passionate, and I love the game, and I don't do it for any other reason except for to compete and go up against the best to try to prove that I can hang. So all my emotion came out at one time. Was it the right way to do it? No. But I can't control that when I'm out there competing. Like, that's my love of the game. That's raw me.
I love this. I love the game so much. I'm so passionate. I couldn't help but yell at everybody and win the game. I had to yell at all my teammates. I'm just so passionate that I had to clown everybody on the whole entire team.
I was thinking the same thing, man. Passion has become the new word for disrespect.
Right? Yeah. I just love the game so much.
I just love
That's
it.
why I had to clown everybody.
I want to punk all my teammates because I'm passionate about it.
Like, I love it so much.
Jimmy is a goon, bro. Like this is one of those situations that we gonna look back in basketball and say, I love that guy for the way he played and his attitude towards the game. Now I don't know how this is gonna bode well for him in free agency.
It's interesting. So somehow through all of this, he became more likable.
Yes.
Like not only did he leave work early, not show up to work, yell at his boss, and then go to the media and tell everybody about it, but I like him more because of it.
He increased his value at that franchise.
Do you really think so, though?
Yes.
Do you really think so through all this? If you're another GM, now let's be real, though, Marcus.
Right.
You played professional football. If you're another GM, are you saying, I want that guy on my team, or you say, I don't want those problems?
If you Pat Riley, yes. If you're a GM that can manage that, yes.
I think need to be a Pat Riley type. Someone needs to look him in the face and be like, Jimmy, no, not today.
I got it. I get all of that. But if it's raising the level, then you go with it. Right? And if he is delivering what he's supposed to deliver as well on the basketball court, it's warranted. You know, superstars or dudes that stars get a bigger pass in situations like that.
Of course.
Like, that is a part of it. So when Jimmy went in there and he did what he did to the first stringers, he proved to everybody in that franchise that you pretty much need me to have any shot, right? So now he walks away with every other GM in the NBA knowing that.
Here's the thing.
Cole.
Marcus.
Every other GM knows that Jimmy Butler went into practice and beat the starters for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
But do you know what else he did? He yelled at the GM. So if I'm the GM, I don't want to get yelled at by Jimmy Butler.
You don't think Jordan ever yelled? You don't think Kobe ever yelled?
Of course, but that's Jordan and Kobe.
But what I'm saying is, you are the Jordan and Kobe to whatever franchise if you're the best player. In our mind, you may not be that, and obviously Jimmy Butler is not. But if you going in as the max player, franchise player for that organization, right now they think of you in that vein.
So explain this to me. Be my psychiatrist.
Okay.
Why does all of this disruption, all this misbehavior, they canceled practice today, why does that make me like him more? Because
you like goons.
I do like goons.
You like goons.
I do like goons.
You're from the old school.
I do like goons.
You like dudes that play hard, bro. Like this is what we're missing in the NBA. What do we hear about the NBA all the time? I know you and Jalen talk about it.
It's getting soft.
It's soft.
LeBron couldn't play
in the 90s.
And everyone's best friends.
Exactly.
And it's getting soft. And back in the 80s, they used to hate each other and they used to hard foul and they used to fight.
That's why we need the Jimmy Butlers of the world. That's why
Jimmy
you
Butler.
like it.
And you know why I like him? He drives a minivan.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
He drives a minivan.
Don't
you dare disrespect minivans on this program,
that's
sir.
Dumb. It's dumb
Don't you
for
dare.
him to
I know
drive
you
a
got
minivan.
kids.
It's not
don't
good
talk to me
gas
about
mileage.
minivans, man.
It's not good gas mileage.
Don't
It's not good gas mileage.
Moving on.
A single black man driving a minivan gives people pause to think about his motives.
He likes safe. He likes space. He likes
Get
safety.
a Volvo.
He likes safety. He likes space, and he likes cup holders.
All right.
You know what I mean? And there's I've got
a bunch
in
of cup
there.
holders.
There's a vacuum inside. It's great.
No doubt.
Moving on.
Dumb.
Former Adidas consultant TJ Gasnola testified, and you'll never believe this, Marcus, but he testified that some players got paid while they were in college.
No.
Yeah, he said that he made payments to the relatives of 5 players, including DeAndre Ayton and Dennis Smith Jr. It seems like none of this shocks us, obviously, but it seems like every couple weeks we get more and more information about this.
Yep.
So what is your reaction to the latest revelations?
I hope my son is a top 5 recruit coming out of high school.
So you're breaking the law, you're taking that money.
I want the bread. I'm not going to even need it.
One
but
thing
I want
about
it.
these stories that bugs me out, it's always like $15,000 or something, like $25,000. I feel like it's like worth $500,000 to the program.
Money. It needs to be big money. I'm going to tell him I need big money. I need at least 6 figures when Marcus Jr. come out of high school.
When Marcus Jr. comes out of high school, you're going to negotiate.
Yeah.
You're going to get an agent.
And I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to funnel it through me and give it back to him.
For real?
No, I'm not.
No, but
Cole.
What would you do for real to solve this?
Nothing, because it's only happening with the guys that's going top 10. And if Adidas gives a guy that they project as a top 10 pick and he doesn't, you know who bites the bullet? Adidas. Because they just lost money betting their hinges on these guys. Look, bro, you saw the Ben Simmons documentary, I'm sure.
Of course.
We talk about DeAndre Ayton. These dudes going to college as a malfunction of the system. They not going to college because they need to. So if they can make some money while doing that, and it goes to a bigger question with the NCAA and players making money. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I don't have a single problem with it.
You know where TJ messed up? DeAndre Ayton's wearing Pumas now.
He wearing Pumas.
If you
didn't get the job done,
It's like, come on, TJ.
You didn't get the job done.
Now you're testifying about the payments you made. He should be wearing 3 stripes right now.
He might be mad at that.
He's not. Moving on. It's time for News That Matters. So, a British couple, the British people, they like their pints. And they were in Sri Lanka on their honeymoon, and they're drinking rum. And they're drinking more rum, and they're drinking more. They're day drinking rum. They're on the beach. The heat and the rum gets to them. And they find out that the hotel they're staying at, the lease is up. They're talking to some of the management, and they're thinking about it. They go to bed that night, and they have a meeting the next day with the people that run the hotel. It's the next day. They start drinking at the meeting, drinking some more at the meeting. They ended up purchasing the hotel.
The whole hotel?
No, not the room. The whole hotel. They are now hotel owners because of a drunken impulse purchase. What? Have you ever made a similar drunken impulse purchase?
I wish I would have made one that smart. But yes, I have. I bought a freaking fur coat, and I live in Texas. I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. I went to Philly, all right, and we get off the bus and I'm hanging with the veterans. I'm the rookie. I got a little money. You know what I'm saying? That bonus had came through. You feel me? And we went to Torrey Big and Tall. It's the famous store in Philly, like for big dudes. So we go in there, and Leroy Glover was a big time defensive lineman in the league for a while. I remember. Leroy is black as this shirt I got on and that sweater you got on. He bought a black mink, and I was like, "What are you doing, Leroy?" He was like, "You gotta get a mink, man. You're in the league." I bought a white freaking mink coat, bro.
Not only did you get a fur coat, you bought a white fur coat.
Bought a white mink coat. But I live in Texas, Cole. I wore the coat one time.
And here's the thing is you can't pack it on the road. You're going on a road trip. You can't pack a white mink coat.
You can't do anything.
Where is that coat right now?
I don't know.
No one knows.
Dumb.
That was so dumb. You know what? Dumb. That's dumber than buying a hotel.
It wasn't dumb when I bought it, though. I was thinking Frank Lucas.
So you played for Nick Saban. So you understand how he works.
Yep.
And we're watching this Alabama team just run over everybody in college football. They've already been anointed as the champions. When we're talking about historically, they're the best team ever. We gave 2 of the Heisman already. You're watching all of this happen. How do you feel watching it?
I feel like it's disrespectful to the game I cover.
Oh! Tell us why.
Cole.
Tell us why, Mr. Spears.
Because we in the 6th week of the season. Like, just timing alone doesn't give you the right to say anything like that. Like, you can be excited about what's happening. I think we all are. The glimpse of greatness without a full plate of greatness is always fun, right? Remember when we saw Golden State coming on, and it was like, man. But then when they won the championship, now we can have the discussion about, is this the greatest team ever, the greatest dynasty, whatever. Alabama right now looks like a video game, and I get it. Everybody's excited about that. But then I got to go into some of my college football mode. Before we start tagging greatest ever, bro, they've given up 54 total points the last 2 weeks. The great ones don't do that. And in football.
One thing I know about college football is upsets happen.
All the time.
Upsets happen. It's not like other sports or professional sports.
No.
Like college football, things happen that you do not expect, and it could happen to Alabama.
It could, man.
Could you see it happening against Georgia?
Yeah. I can see it happening. I can see it happening against Georgia. I think LSU plays them tough for a while. I think they eventually take the reins.
That's your alma mater.
Yeah.
You're not going to pick your alma mater over Alabama?
Coach, I'm not. Objectivity ain't never been a problem for me. If you're good, you're good. Now, I would love for LSU to be in this Bama conversation that we having, but they not right now. Yeah. That ain't where they at.
So we're talking about where you played in college, but let's talk about where you played in the pros for a second. The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, boy.
So you're familiar with how things work there over in Jerry World. And Jerry's had a lot to say this year. He's been pretty vocal. He gets more vocal when they're not winning games. And here's what he had to say about their roster.
A true number one. You saw one the other night. You see Julio Jones. You see players like that. They're, in my mind, every team doesn't have a true number one receiver. When you put it in that class, those guys that just absolutely can change the ball game with where they are. And that hasn't been our case for several years here, that we've had a true number one. Not a true number one. We'd like to have had one, but we haven't.
You know what? The more I think about it, the more I'm like, they really haven't had a number one wide receiver for quite some time.
Cole, why though?
Because Jerry didn't pay one.
So why in the hell would he say that?
Because he's just complaining. He's rich. He's a rich guy. He wants to complain about things.
There we go. Like, we've solved the issue, bro. Listen, Dez at one time was a one. Let's get that out there.
Yeah.
All right? And then I was there when T.O. was there. He had 3 consecutive seasons, 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns.
Of course.
So it's been one since Michael Irvin. But from the time between Michael Irvin and when T.O. got there, legitimate point. And then you got T.O. and then you got Dez. Miles Austin had a season like a number one.
Yeah,
or
a season,
two.
then the Kardashian thing happened.
Yeah, you're never supposed to do that. You never mix that with great play.
Come on, Miles.
Once you do that, great play goes away. Yep. We all know that. But at the end of the day, man, it's your responsibility as a GM to have a one.
I think so.
So don't say that. This is the problem with Jerry Jones.
What's the problem?
He cares about this team, this franchise, and he wants to win. I tell people that all the time. For as frustrated as people are about him, The number one thing Jerry cares about is making the Dallas Cowboys relevant in the conversation about Super Bowls, right? They're always relevant in marketing.
In the conversation. We're talking about them right now.
Always,
we're talking about them right now.
But his biggest downfall is that he doesn't want to pull the trigger and be the guy that he needs to be in order to win a Super Bowl.
Who's that guy?
Go get the franchise guys, man. Go get them. Earl Thomas was out there like, hey, I'm available.
No, not only that, he said he wanted to play for the Cowboys.
He wanted to play. Josh Gordon, by no means am I saying Josh Gordon returns to his normal form.
Randy Moss, yeah.
By no means. But if he's available.
You see what the Patriots traded for him?
Why don't you entertain that? Because at the minimum, Josh Gordon can create a situation where other defenses say, we have to pay attention to this guy that might free up Cole Beasley, Allen Hurns.
So here's the question.
Austin.
If he's going to the Beyonce and Jay-Z concert with Dez Bryant, like they're sitting together for hours, why doesn't he just pick up Dez Bryant? Why doesn't he? He knows more about Dez Bryant than anybody else.
Because it's not good marketing at this point. It's not good marketing.
PR hit?
The PR hit. It's not good. And the fact that relationship ended on the football, if Jerry was to bring Dez back, I think it would look more like he put Dez above everything, every team dynamic that may be happening with the Cowboys. Because we know what this was about. When T.O. was gone, it wasn't about production.
No.
It was about what he thought the perception of T.O. being on the team was. This same thing with Dez. Dez had 8 touchdowns, 800 yards. That's not a number one receiver numbers, but that's damn sure better than what you got.
You should have a job numbers.
Come on, man.
Well, coming back to the Steelers, Le'Veon Bell. He's reportedly going to join the team. And Ben Roethlisberger was on the radio, and he had something very interesting to say about getting Bell back in the fold.
In terms of just football player and running back play, it's been going up every week. I think James has done some amazing things that deserves to be on the football field. We also know what Le'Veon is and what he brings to the table. So I guess we'll cross that bridge when, if and when it happens.
How should the Steelers handle the return of Le'Veon Bell?
Play him immediately. You heard that, chiefly?
Yeah, I did.
Immediately.
Immediately?
First of all, you're paying him almost $1 million a game, all right? Which still blows my mind. Like, I'm with Le'Veon. I'm team Le'Veon. Sit out, get your money, stay healthy. Hopefully you get a big franchise. But every time I see you losing $700,000,
it's every 832, I think.
Yeah, every Sunday, that hurts me because I want that. I want it too, right? You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, yes. But then you got to understand the business side of the NFL. They're not going to sit you on the bench paying you $832,000 a week.
And also knowing that you're not going to be on the team next year.
Exactly. They're going to try to run you down in the ground.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
Right? So I'm with Ben because for all intents and purposes right now, James Conner is the future running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He looks good too.
He looks real good.
Yeah.
Beyond this year. But when Le'Veon comes back, James Conner going to have to take a seat.
That's fine.
And that's fine. That's what I'm saying. So Ben is doing a good job keeping James Conner engaged. All right, keeping him up and involved in everything that's going on. But you know damn well when Le'Veon gets back, he gonna be in this offense.
Let's get the people what they want.
As a young boy, Gavin loved playing football. He lived and breathed it, wanted to go pro. Why, he'd spend hours upon hours just practicing his touchdown dances. And one day, while getting fitted for bifocals, he realized he was never much good at throwing, or running, or catching, or even kicking. Yeah, Gavin's chances of playing pro football were looking like 4th and long. Very long. But he did hear how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. Then he did kind of a touchdown dance. At least he was still good at that.
I want to talk to you about Oprah.
Okay.
Whenever Oprah's in the news, she needs to be on the show.
Okay.
Oprah did something that we all do. She had an issue with her face started swelling. So what she did, what we all do, is she Googled what could be wrong. Have you done this before?
No.
If you start Googling what's wrong with you, you're convinced you're going to die in 5 minutes.
You're dying in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
The WebMD is real.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got AIDS? I thought I just had a cold.
Yes, so she did the same thing. She Googled it, and she was like, I'm definitely going to die. And then she went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, basically, you have a saliva problem, so suck on some lemons. That's what the doctor said. and Oprah was okay.
Her saliva is poisonous or something?
No, she does not. Did you just say Oprah has poison saliva? Marcus.
What did you just say?
I said that, look, I'm not a doctor. She had some saliva issue with a saliva duct in her mouth.
Poison?
So I guess Oprah might have poisonous saliva.
The acidity of the lemon killed it. That's what I assume.
That's probably what it was.
Her face swole from a saliva problem.
From a saliva duct issue.
Saliva duct issue, which means the saliva was poisoned.
And the doctor said lemon. I feel like if you're a doctor, you got to come on. And Oprah's in the room. If I'm treating Oprah medically, I got to do something better than lemons.
Yeah,
I would make up
It's
something.
another option.
Yeah, I would give her a sugar pill and make up a name.
A sugar pill?
No, because I'm just saying, like, I don't want to hurt her, but I would just be like, oh, this is a special thing. I wouldn't be like, hey, how about some lemons? I had my nose broken, and the doctor fixed it, and I was in the basement, and he basically stuck a screwdriver up my nose, and I don't know how sure he's a real doctor.
You go into them hospitals that them dudes.
This wasn't a hospital. This was like I had to buzz into the door.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a big hospital.
You went to the wound department.
Yes. On my way out, he gave me 2 of those little cans of pineapple juice with the tinfoil on top that you peel off, and he was like, "That's for the swelling."
Did it work?
No, I didn't drink them.
Should have got some lemons.
I didn't even drink them. I definitely needed some lemons. I definitely needed some lemons.
Oprah face swole from a saliva duct being bad. That's poison.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any poison in Oprah's body, Marcus.
Cold is poison, dude. When you have a reaction, usually it's allergic. An allergy is it's like a poison going into your body. Her saliva was poison.
Someone tried to poison Oprah.
That might be the case.
The Russians tried to poison Oprah. Because the Russians, you know how they poison.
Collusion.
Yes.
On the oath.
Yes. That's exactly
I'm
what
so
happened.
glad we got this figured out.
That's exactly what happened.
I'm glad we got it figured out. Because I know it's a lot of people working hard.
You got Oprah on your phone? You got Oprah's number? We need to talk.
I need to get it, though.
Okay.
I'm a freak out when I meet Oprah. Give it to me.
Here's the thing.
Apologies.
Yeah, we got to apologize to the Russians. I didn't even want to, but Reggie made me. Reggie got in my ear and just
one of those
apologize.
things.
I love Russians.
Politically
Shout out to
correct.
Bay Ridge.
Yeah, wherever that's at. Yeah. I ain't never left the States. What up?
Bay Ridge is in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. See?
But it's basically Russia. But it's basically Russia.
All right.
It's a safe thing.
A lot of people moved over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I go there and then I don't have to go to Russia.
Yeah, you don't.
All right.
You don't. Did you watch the Khabib fight over the weekend?
Nah, I didn't watch it.
Oh, I loved it.
It was good?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Conor getting beat, but I'm also a big fan of him winning a fight, right? Because it keeps him relevant. It keeps UFC relevant. It's every now and then the Conor McGregors of the world need to get beat to sleep.
Yes.
Like, I think everybody would agree with that.
Sure.
And then you come back and you have a win, and then you become the villain again, and we looking for somebody else to beat you to sleep.
Yes, he wants a rematch. It's like, Conor, no, dude. You
Don't
need
do
a couple
it.
wins.
Nah,
get a couple wins.
else.
Get a couple wins, and then you can get the rematch. And Khabib there's something about, he's like a little too good. It's like, nah, it's like, I don't see anybody. There's no one in the world.
See, I don't really, man, look, I like UFC. I play with Arthur Jones, who is John Bones Jones' brother.
Shout out.
Man, it's violent, dude. What is it? Violent, bro.
Look, I'm soft. You know, some people are like, yo, I'm hard. Like, you don't, like, people look at me like, you don't want it. It's like, no, I absolutely do not want it. Like, I know myself. I do not want it.
Yeah.
But there's something about watching two dudes beat each other up and the blood's splatting everywhere. There's something inside me that just loves it.
It's an animal in there.
Yeah, there's something inside me that's just like,
you live it vicariously.
Yeah,
that's what you're
it's
doing,
like watching
man.
an action movie, but real life.
No
It's
doubt.
like, I love this.
No doubt.
I love this action.
I don't love it. I like it at times.
As a defensive lineman, and this has been a story for so long that I'm kind of tired of talking about it.
Don't get tired of talking about it.
But you
We
were a
need
defensive
guys like
lineman.
you to talk about it.
You were a defensive lineman. How do you feel about what's happening with the rough of the pass?
The problem is when you get back to the locker room after Sunday, not only may that penalty have cost your team.
Sure.
That's number one, because we just saw Clay Matthews go through that. But you also get fined. And sometimes, depending on how they feel, how severe the tackle was or whatever the penalty was, they'll fine you.
So
now, they say, quote unquote, that the fine money goes to charity. I'm sure it goes to Roger Goodell's salary.
So they got to pay that salary somehow.
Come on, man. Let's be real.
So what's in the FedEx box?
It's a piece of paper telling you how much is.
What's the number?
Sometimes 15,000, sometimes 10 grand, 5 grand. It could be 40, 45, depending on what happens.
So here's the thing: is the civilian will say, and again, these are all my friends. They'll be like, "Well, they're making millions of dollars. What's 15,000? Do you know what 15,000 is? It's $15,000.
15 grand.
It's 15 grand that you don't have
all the
anymore
time.
after taxes.
There you go, Kobe. You are right there with it. I don't care if it's $15. It was mine. Now I don't have it.
It should be 15 yards.
I would never make that 15 grand back. I don't care how much I sign for. I don't care if I sign $100 million, $100 million contract 6 months from now. That 15,000 that they took, I will never get it back.
So here's a question. I'm sure you've had a couple penalties in your day.
Yeah, I had a few.
And after on Sunday and Monday, do you wonder, like, I wonder if I'm going to get the box?
It's like you waiting on the Grim Reaper.
And then like, so there's some guy named Jason whose job it is to come around with the boxes. And you're like, I wonder if Jason got one for me.
Politely
and when
sit
he
it on
comes
your
out,
chair.
When he comes out, when you see Jason come around the corner and he got boxes, you're like, oh, no.
Don't come my way. Usually you know, because by that time you've appealed already.
Okay.
Right? But sometimes you get...
Who does the appeal? Like your agent?
No, the league will do it. The players union.
Oh, okay.
They'll send an appeal on your behalf.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of standard protocol. Very rarely does it get overturned.
Dude, so here's what I do with bills I don't feel like I should pay. I just don't pay them until they start cutting my lights off.
That's dumb.
Look, I'm not proud of this.
You make good money.
So do you? No, this is the old me. This is the old me.
Oh, the new you.
Yeah, new you would pay. I pay my bills.
I mean, we used to just move. Like my mom would move. I grew up in Section 8, bro. Like I lived with my dad and grandmother for a long time. We grew up in Section 8, so it was like $1 a month for rent. And then my mom, like anytime we wouldn't be able to pay the rent or something, we'd just move.
Just move?
Yeah.
That was Baton Rouge, right?
Baton Rouge, baby.
Shout out to Baton Rouge.
Shout out to South Baton Rouge. Shout out to Scotlandville, Louisiana. I grew up look, we never moved in the good part.
I'm not from anywhere.
But why we never moved in the good part, Cole? Like, we could have fooled somebody in the country club of Baton Rouge for at least 3 months. We moved to every bad situation. But my mom loved me.
Reggie thinks my sweatshirt is too small today. For real. Called me out. I said, is my sweatshirt too small for me? And Reggie said, Quincy's sweatshirt looks great on you. Quincy is my 5-year-old son. Hurt my feelings a little bit. But I've done something about this. I've started using Stitch Fix. I've used it before. I'm back in on the Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix is easy. Let me explain to you. It's like you have a personal stylist who gets data on what you like to wear. Do you like patterns? Do you like basics? Do you wear button-ups? Do you wear crew necks? What do you like? They find out what you like, and then just magically they send you a box with items in it. You get the box. It's kind of like Christmas. You get the box. You try things on. If you have a significant other, you let your significant other tell you whether or not you should keep it. Sometimes you disagree. That's always kind of fun. I'm like, you really think I should wear this outside the house? And the more you use Stitch Fix, the more your personal stylist gets to know you. Because what happens is you don't keep every item unless you like every item. You only buy the clothes you keep. And it's all reasonably priced. And they work with great brands. It's not generic, you know what I mean, Kirkland stuff. They give you real brands you've heard of before, and you can ask for specific brands. It's a relationship you have with a stylist. You might think that you don't have enough money to have a stylist. I don't have enough money to have a stylist, but with Stitch Fix, I do. There is someone out there in the world who wakes up in the morning and says, what should I send Jacoby? What's he going to look good in? And they can do the very same for you. And it's affordable. Why? Because you only pay for the things that you buy. It's just like going to the store, except the store comes to you, and the store is perfectly custom and tailored to your needs. Right now, if you sign up with Stitch Fix, your styling fee is only $20, which is applied toward the credit toward anything that you keep. If you go to stitchfix.com/Jacoby, you can get started with Stitch Fix now. If you keep all 5 items in your box, you get 25% off the entire purchase. Right now, go to stitchfix.com/Jacoby, stitchfix.com/Jacoby. Get involved, get a stylist, get on your way. We have been bestowed with the presence of the great Ryan Russillo.
What's up? You know what? I've heard a lot of people, though, on the show this week, and you've talked them all up. So I think you can't be as complimentary about every one of us that fill in, because then I don't know if it's real or not.
Well, you're the only person that watches the other shows, so it works for everybody else. Thank you for calling me out. I'm entrapped. I'm enraptured in the Jimmy Butler thing. I'm going to be honest. I feel like Jimmy Butler held us all hostage with non-news that we had to update every single day on these programs. But today there is real news. Not only did he play in practice, not only did he trash talk the players and then the front office and then walk out of the gym, and then not only did he walk into an interview with Rachel Nichols right afterwards, they canceled practice today, Ryan. They canceled practice. Jimmy Butler is a terrorist and a saboteur, and somehow after all of this, I like him more today. What is happening with Jimmy Butler and the Timberwolves?
This is tough. I'm really conflicted. You know, if you go over the entire timeline, I was very pro Jimmy with Chicago. He was the better player. Derrick Rose comes back. He thinks it's his team. You're like, nah, dude, I'm just better than you now. The contract stuff was contentious with Chicago, so I've always been very pro Jimmy Butler, and I think he's a hell of a player, and he's a fighter. He's a competitor. I think he's accurate in pointing out some of the softness issues with the other young players on the team, and that's directed strictly at Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Like, those guys have to be tougher. They have to be better players for this team to be as good as we think it could be on paper. However, this 24-hour orchestration, this entire campaign, where he goes off day one of practice for a reason, okay? It all leaks out, which is super interesting for us. And then when I saw the Rachel Nichols sit down, I go, are we running old B-roll of Jimmy Butler? I go, wait a minute, this is hours after the practice meltdown today? So he's sitting there calling out his team, which I would agree with him about, but he's not doing this to make the team better. He's doing this selfishly because it's like a little reminder, being like, hey, we heard you were about the 5-yard line with this Miami Heat deal. If you guys need a little reminder, this is how bad I can be. This is how difficult I can be. And I'll sit down with Rachel Nichols and air it all out. So this was another shot by he and his crew to get the hell out of Minnesota.
You're absolutely right. Like, what he did, he didn't show up to work. When he did show up to work, he yelled at his boss, and then he left his job early, and then immediately, something that you definitely should not do, went to the media and talked about it all, and somehow I like him more because of it. Like, tell me why I enjoyed this so much.
Because it's incredibly enjoyable. Like, if he's this good, and he's sitting there, and he's crushing everybody in this practice, although I do wonder, like, which guy that lost to him would say, I was in awe? Like, when you think about some of the quotes, be like, man, this was amazing. He embarrassed me.
We both know enough about basketball that I'm sure he probably easily could have lost that game, and this narrative is so different. Like, if there's probably a couple bounces or a couple of shots that didn't go in when he loses with the third stringers, it's not as sexy a story, let's be honest.
I'm expecting leak footage of him as a wolf. Just dribbling like through everybody, wolf. Okay? Like, that's how this story is being told.
What do you do next if you're Jimmy Butler?
It's really simple, though, right? I mean, Jacoby, this is about he doesn't like the first contract offer. He wants out of there. I think even his teammates, from stuff I've heard, haven't loved him, even though he tried to shoot that down. And he even says numerous times in that interview yesterday with Rachel where he's like, if I'm being honest, it can't be fixed. It can't be fixed. And he made sure that, like, yesterday was a reminder. That wasn't about motivating teammates. That was a reminder of this is how bad it can be every single day if you guys don't get me out of here.
He also said something I found really interesting in that interview with Rachel. Let's listen to it.
I know Tibbs. He's in there by himself. He locked his door, and he's smiling. He's laughing. Tibbs, I know you, man. I know you. He was like, yeah.
You think he's happy with what happened today?
Yeah. Tibbs like me. He likes confrontation. He may not tell y'all. He likes it.
So you were back in practice today. I assume you're going back tomorrow.
I am.
Should people think because you are back in practice that this is fixed or it's on its way to being fixed?
I think people think that. I would think that too.
What do you think?
It's not. It's not fixed. Let's just be honest. It's not fixed.
Is it fixable?
It could be. It could be.
It's not fixed. Could it be fixed? It could be fixed. But here's the part I really loved. He's like, I know Tibbs. Tibbs locked himself in his office and he's smiling. Do you think that Coach Thibodeau secretly enjoyed the whole thing?
Absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, Tibbs is a fighter. Jimmy's a fighter. It's not just that Jimmy's a really good player and that's why Tibbs wanted him. He's somebody that he feels like could go at these young dudes. And I'll never forget a scout, one of my best sources for years, and he's incredible on the draft. And when Wiggins was coming out, and he was pretty good that first year, and he goes, you guys in the media are morons about Wiggins. They're like, he's pretty good, but he's not going to be nearly the dude you think he's going to be. He just doesn't have that switch. And I thought, man, that seems to be really quick to kind of write him off. He was right about that. And he goes, for all the Towns stuff, and Towns is great. He was saying, look, Towns is a max guy. He's going to get all the money. He's incredible. He goes, laterally, it's just not there. Defensively, he's he's going to let his teammates down. He was right about both of these guys. And I think Tibbs if the scout sees this, Tibbs sees this, and Tibbs is thinking, I need a personality more like Jimmy. The problem is if Tibbs isn't there for the long haul, his whole path may be more aligned with the guy that wants out than the owner that's still worried about Jimmy leaving without getting anything in return. So
watching all of this and all this drama, like there's a part of me that just loves reality television. I love talking about it. And I like Jimmy Butler more because of all this. But if you're at a GM of another team, say the Heat or the Rockets or whoever, you're at another GM that wants to bring in Jimmy Butler. Do you want to bring him in more after all this or less?
It's not less. It's not less. You would bring him in. And I always use the Dwight Howard theory. Think about this. Orlando still wanted to keep him. Mm-hmm. The Lakers wanted to keep him. Houston still wanted to keep him. So whatever Jimmy's done, to me, that's never been as bad as Dwight's indifference or immaturity. So no team's going, hey, we wanted him and now we don't because of this story, because these guys are just that hard to get.
Well, the whole Jimmy Butler saga will continue. I mean, there's no practice today, but something tells me we'll get another Woj report later today about something. But what it has done is also overshadowed one of the best preseason basketball games I've ever seen in my entire life. That might be hyperbole. I might just be caught up in the moment and recency bias. But watching the Lakers and Warriors, especially the first half yesterday, it was just fantastic. It had like a playoff feel. It was in Vegas. The court looked cool. Everyone was doing cool things. LeBron James was doing this, and he hit a three at the end of the half. Am I crazy to think that this was the best preseason game I've ever seen in my life?
Whenever we're ranking stuff, I didn't have this I don't have this in my Word document file of let me dig into how I've been keeping track of all preseason. You have this over Perth Jazz?
I can't name another preseason game I've ever watched, so this is probably one of one. This is the most memorable, I'll say that, because I can't remember another preseason game I've ever seen.
As of right, I remember going to UMass Boston and going to see LeBron play, and he sat it out as a rookie. And I think
that's that's where we are.
Right.
So a serious basketball question for you. One thing that definitely stood out to me about how the Lakers are playing, we know what the Warriors are, is the pace. Like, they were really pushing the pace, like a Pelican-like pace. Do you think they can continue this into the regular season and through it?
Great question, okay? Because this season is not just the preseason. This is the narrative-selling season around the NBA, where sources are leaking out to all of us, hey, we're looking at doing this, a little bit of this. Yep. They'll be like, hey, if we can just get Dion Waiters right, that kind of stuff. And then I read an article about it and be like, this doesn't make any sense. Here's the deal. If the Lakers were to run, that'd be terrific. It would make sense with the athletes they have on this team, these interchangeable parts, these long guys that are that would make sense. However, LeBron hasn't played at a slow pace because people have been holding him back. LeBron has been playing at a slow pace because he prefers to play that way. And he's been great at it. He loves to back it out, dissect what you're going to do with the help, and then eat you alive. So this wasn't like David Blatt years ago was like, hey, I'm sorry you want to run, LeBron, but we're going to play slower. And LeBron's like, okay, I'll defer to you. Of course not. So maybe they run, but for a decade and a half, it's been in LeBron's nature to slow things down.
I've definitely noticed the same thing. LeBron would much rather back it out, call a play, point people where they need to go, get a pick, go around that pick, back it out again, and then drive and kick to a shooter and watch that happen.
And it works.
It was so much fun to see. It was so much fun to see them go up and down. And this is something that I think is going to change a lot throughout the season. But let's say Luke Walton calls your phone, because I know you've got a lot of sources, a lot of NBA contacts.
Neighbors.
Luke Walton calls your phone and says, who should be my finishing five? Who would be the finishing five for the Lakers?
Well, it's Ingram, it's LeBron. I think Kuz, although the Kuzma center thing, how about when he's like, dude, I didn't play center in high school, and now I'm going to play in the NBA?
It's like I've never jumped in my life.
The real decision will be, do they go small with Kuz, and then that means Ingram, and then that means LeBron, and then it's the point guard turn. I really think that's going to be the weirdest decision of closing with Rondo or Lonzo, because my guess would be LeBron already wants to close games with Rondo, and I think that makes it a little dicey because there's still an investment here in Lonzo. So it's really those four at small, and maybe it's Pope because of shooting.
I thought KCP looked really good yesterday, and I also think that if you don't finish with Rondo, you have a very upset Rondo on the bench and in the locker room. Like, you know that covering the Celtics, that if Rondo doesn't finish games, he's not going to be happy about it. Do you agree?
Absolutely, and I do think though that's where LeBron I think has done a great job of the public face of what this franchise, what this roster ended up looking like. Because I've said, and nobody agrees with me, and it's fine, I don't think LeBron thought this was what the roster was going to be the start of the NBA season. I mean, if anybody thinks like, yeah, this is totally what his plan was. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I don't think this was the Lakers' plan, okay? And now this is what it is. And he has said all the right things, but if it's weird and they don't get off to a great start, which is totally possible, as they try to figure out, I think you're going to see different lineups all the time as Luke Walton tries to figure this thing out. But LeBron will be Team Rondo, because you can't, I don't know how, from any basketball sense, you could close with Lonzo and Rondo. So that's like the first soap opera, I would say, to be aware of, at least going into the year.
Yeah, I don't think LeBron thought this would be the roster starting the season, but I can promise you this will not be the roster that finishes the season. Something is going to happen in a trade or a buyout pickup thing that's going to have a different team for the playoffs. Ryan, last time you were on the show, you talked about a college trip that you and the boys are going to go on. Any updates?
Locked in. This is one of the best things of planning I've ever done, because normally when I'm going to Alabama, LSU, I'm going because of some event or something. I've gone a few times just on my own, and this time I don't really know that I have anything lined up, Jacoby. So I booked it. I've talked to LSU staff, LaBerge, the casino they're in. We'll be at Walk-Ons. Oh. I may do a signing, and I don't even have a book out.
Wait, I've been to Walk-Ons before. I haven't been to the casino, but here I know what you're really saying. What you're not saying, what you're really saying is, I'm not going for work. I'm going for play. I know the difference. I know the difference, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't have to. Whenever I was doing it, though, after I'd be done with the show, the 7-hour monstrosity show that we did for College Game Day Radio, once that show was over, then it was the game. And, I cared about the game and being in the stadium as much as anything. It's probably my favorite part of this entire run with ESPN, getting to those games. But, it's on. This one's on.
I went to a night game. I went to a night game at LSU, and it was absolutely.
When did you go? Which game did you go to?
Oh, recall is not my strong suit, but I'm gonna guess like 2008.
How did you end up down there?
We had a digital show called ESPN Road Trip.
I remember it.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Drubner. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Drubner's my guy.
Yeah,
Drubner's my guy. I'd recently just told Marcus Spears that I stole a frying pan from a Waffle House in Auburn, Alabama, and it was with Drubner. And I gave Drubner still has the frying pan to this day.
I think I was there with you guys for that, because you had that Nikki girl that was really cool.
Nikki Noto.
Yeah.
The best.
Right.
Yeah. I can't believe you watched this.
No, because I was on the sidelines with all of them, and you had this whole show based on these concepts where people, and like Drubner be running out with a flag.
Yeah.
And Stanford Stephen McShane, I'd be like, why is the guy from that show now on the field? And you guys were pushing the limits at ESPNU.
We really were. I'm shocked that anyone remembers that show. Good for you, Ryan.
I was on the road with them all the time. They had a van with like a speaker on the top.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That last. Yeah. I was kind of, at that point, I had enough.
Nikki Noto. I was a huge fan of Nikki Noto.
Yeah. Nikki, I'm still in touch somewhat. Social media. You always stay in touch with everybody. So you have your hotels in. How many human beings are going on this trip?
We got 3 dudes rolling in.
Okay.
I'll be the 4th dude. A lot of guys, all these guys are parents, so that's sometimes great, and then sometimes it's even worse.
No, it's worse.
These guys are all good dudes, and one guy's never been. He's talking a lot of junk. He's like, it can't be that great, it can't be that great, and I just go, all right, fine, we'll just wait. We'll wait until 10 minutes before kickoff, and then you can turn to me and apologize, because that's what everybody does.
I think the last time I was in Baton Rouge was the last time I vomited from intoxication. I've got a very strong stomach too.
Yeah, BR will do that to you, man.
There's a mixture of the excessive drinking and the cuisine. The cuisine is unique down there. My stomach wasn't really ready for it.
I would agree, because you start getting into that boudin, and then you're like, what is this? Is this chicken? No, that's alligator. Let's throw some more sauce on it. They had a cheesecake at this one place, our place Rufino's, where we do a big Friday dinner, where it's a crab cake cheesecake. And it's tasty, but you got to go for it, and then the oysters and all this stuff. So I'll contend that after being down there a bunch, that if there's some real apocalyptic stuff that goes down, it's going to be PR people and people from Louisiana walking the earth.
PR people in there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Switching gears somewhat, Kevin Love said something that I think everybody knows but no one said before, and he was talking about what it was like to play with LeBron James. And he was talking to Wendy, and Wendy can always get these guys to say everything. And he said, quote, "You have to be resilient. I had a lot of hard nights. There were dark times, but I always believed keep fighting. I was stubborn about it. And LeBron, make sure you have a chance to win every year." I have a theory. Just go with me on this one. I've voiced it before. The Cleveland Cavaliers aren't going to win as many games as they did last year, but they're all going to be much happier this year. Your thoughts?
Agreed. I think LeBron's a great teammate because we sit here and we look at some of these guys' numbers and you go, oh, look at these numbers and this guy's numbers are down and all these different things. Like, the whole point is winning games, okay? And if you're playing in 8 straight finals, then he's doing something right. But along the way, I think LeBron had these moments of frustration where some of it would be on him and he just couldn't do it. I mean, Kobe had that. Quarterbacks do it all the time where, Romo would throw a pick and then immediately the camera would be Romo pointing to some sort of dig route that he was mad the receiver didn't run, and then all of us at home are like, oh, I guess that one isn't on Romo. I think guys can be such superstars that they have this self-preservation about themselves, so whenever LeBron made mistakes, whether it was Tristan a couple years ago calling him out, which I actually appreciated from Tristan, or Kevin Love, I felt like LeBron beat on Love mentally throughout games. And sometimes, it was on Love to be tougher during games. So, I'm not putting this all on LeBron, but I do think that there's sort of an exhale, and it's not even LeBron. There's no expectations on this team.
That's what I was about to say. One of my mantras in life is keep expectations as low as possible. And if you're Ty Lue, you're just like, you know what? I'm not getting fired this year. If we make the playoffs, they're going to throw a parade for me. This is great. I think Ty Lue I think he's happy. It's we got our championship. This is going to be great. Kevin Love just signed a big deal. He's I'm going to be the number one option. I'm going to put up 25 and 12. I'm going to be an all-star. This is going to be awesome. I'm excited for the Cavs this year. I'm actually bullish on the Cavs. I'm going to say something I shouldn't.
Playoffs?
I think the Cavs are going to make the playoffs. I think the Cavs are going to make You tell me the Cavs are worse than the Pistons.
No, the Pistons, I don't know what to make of that team. If Colin Sexton is nice, okay? If Colin Sexton is nice, it doesn't have anything to do with Tristan. It doesn't have anything to do with JR or Kevin Love, because you're right, Love, if he's healthy, he's going to put up Minnesota numbers again. But if Sexton is nice, then I'll be on board with you, because I think he has a chance to be.
Obviously, you're not paying attention to Jetty Osman's Summer League and preseason performance, Ryan Russillo. He's an MVP candidate. He's an MVP candidate this year.
You want to know a great, I love when I talk to front office guys, name drop, and there'll always be certain guys that never play that people like, and he is all first team. You know who I like is Chetty.
Yes. I just learned how to say his name right 2 weeks ago.
I said CD for a while. But that's all right.
We're calling this guy Jetty now? Okay.
Yeah, no, the international guys, I've stopped worrying about it because doing the draft every night, anytime I say the guy's name, I know within 2 years, once he starts getting 10, 11 points a game, no one tells you how to change, correctly pronounce their name until they get to double figures in the league.
Yeah, that happened with Roberson. It was just call me Robeson, and then he started playing, no, I'm Roberson, dude. It's which one, man?
Gadzarich?
Yeah.
Gadzarich went through UCLA. I mean, all these guys, you're like, dude, that's not on us. I'm still convinced most people don't know how to pronounce Rajon Rondo's name.
Rajon? I'm going Rajon, right?
Yeah, Rajon.
Yeah, Rajon. People say Rajon Rondo.
Rajon is the other one.
I probably say it wrong half the time.
No, I think you've been pretty consistent on it. And the thing is, if people are listening to this, they think they're right. I've asked them. I go, hey, what the hell? What's up with your name?
yeah. Just tell me, dude. Just tell me what your name is. He isn't in the television rundown, so I wanted to talk about him in podcast exclusive. He is slightly, but we're not talking about his game. Luka Doncic. From what you've seen, are you as excited as I am?
Yeah, I am. But, this is not something that we didn't see when we watched him, but there's something about actually doing it, even in preseason, with other NBA bodies. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Wiggins, but there's just these moments where you see somebody move physically with other NBA players, and sometimes you can immediately go, oh my God, this isn't going to work. And there's other times you go, I can't believe I was even worried about this. And with him, it's not even just the physical part of it. It's mentally, like, he's not remotely intimidated. And in a way, he shouldn't be when you look at his incredibly, unprecedented accomplishments at his age in the Euro level.
Of course. And another thing, this is going to make me sound dumb, and I don't mind saying it. I was surprised by how big he was. Because I'm watching all the international stuff, and you kind of everything's on a curve, even the size of people. I'm just like, what? I'm like, whoa, because all the highlights I saw were pick and rolls and step backs and 3-point shots. And when I watch him in the game, I'm like, this dude is like a 4. He's kind of like Ben Simmons-y, the way how big he is and how skilled he is with the ball.
A more skilled Jan Vesely?
And I would put him and Jan neck and neck. I would put him and not Jan.
Jan Vesely was huge and an athlete.
If you trade Jan Vesely for Doncic, who wins that trade? Who wins that trade? Who knows?
It depends on what you need. I think that's a team-specific thing. I feel like we need to do
best player.
Can you talk to Connor Schell and ask if we can do a 30 for 30 on Jan Vesely?
Okay, it'll be called The Kiss. The Kiss. If you don't remember, Jan was the one. He was the Kiss guy, right? Was he the Kiss guy?
Oh my God, I haven't heard the Kawhi drop. That's amazing. The Kiss guy. I think there could be an entire. We should do 30 for 30s on guys that totally flamed out, but do them really serious. Act like it's this big dramatic thing, and almost like those college game day features where you're like, am I going to cry at the end, or is this just about Jan Vesely? And I'm in. You know what? Actually, erase this because it's such a good idea. I don't want someone to see.
There's a lot of topics in sports and pop culture that just aren't worth talking about, so we made up a game called Keep It Moving.
Keep it moving, keep it moving.
So, Ryan, if you want to talk about it, you say hit the brakes. If you don't, me, you, and Meth Man just keep it moving. Are you ready? Forbes came out with a list of the most richest college football programs. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I was told in the pre-show meeting that we were cutting this from the show, so I didn't read anything on it. What Texas is worth a lot, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, Texas A&M is weird.
We keep it moving. That's the part I love right there.
Joel Embiid signed a deal with Under Armour, reportedly. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Hit the brakes on this. Embiid is probably, as popular as anybody other than LeBron on social media. Mm-hmm. But Under Armour's had this weird run the last couple of years, not to go all stock price on you, and think how lucky they've gotten. They hit on Steph.
Yep.
They've had Brady. Then Cam Newton has an MVP season. Even Jordan Spieth, Bryce Hart. They have a great roster. So it's not just about the roster endorsing your brand. I'd be great. I'd love to see Under Armour have a little comeback from the last couple of years. I just don't know if kids are going to buy the big man shoe because that's always been the problem.
That's always the thing. And I wore the Steph Currys a couple of years ago and they were excellent. And just from a performance standpoint, the Steph Curry shoes have kind of dipped a little bit and also in sales. And again, why can't big men sell shoes? And if there ever was a big man that could sell shoes, it would be Joel Embiid. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think it would be Embiid, unless it were. You almost have to be this character beyond just a great basketball player, and that's why Shaq kind of had a chance. But, how many Shaq retro Reeboks are you buying?
0.
I'll wait. By the way, wait a minute. You're saying the decline in the Steph shoe dipped off or the decline in your game?
Well, first of all, my game is peaking right now. I just wanted the world to know that. Moving on from my game to James Harden game, the whole world went crazy over this move from James Harden. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
We have to hit the brakes because I'm mad about this.
Oh, you're mad about this. So there was this move against the Sharks where he kind of just did a sidestep and hit a 3, and everyone in the world said it was a travel, even though it's not a travel, and you're going to tell me that's a travel.
I don't know, man. That looks a lot like a travel.
Oh, well, really? Well, guess who chimed in?
Everyone.
Referees. Yeah. The referees chimed in, and they felt the need. The NBA official actually followed this account. This is a legal play. Although James put the ball behind his back, he only takes 2 steps after the gather of the ball, and therefore is not a travel. So now you've got me saying it's not a travel. You've got the NBA officials saying it's not a travel. So explain to me how it's a travel.
I don't think it's a gather. I understand the 2 steps off the gather on a drive to the hoop or getting into your shooting position, but I don't know, man. The problem is that you're telling me it's not a travel from the guy that travels 90% of his possessions.
That's fair.
So
here's how I judge a travel in basketball. Did it look awkward? That's kind of how it works nowadays. It's like, was it awkward? And if we're going to start nitpicking travels, the one that bothers me is when you catch the ball and then pivot 4 times before you even get into a 3-point stance. That's the one that bothers me more than the step back.
That's the travel that doesn't get called because it doesn't benefit anybody. I'm not Mr. Freak Out about a travel. Like, if you're starting to tweet about, the NBA never calls traveling, again, that means you love sacrifice bunts.
Yes.
You're mad that pitchers don't throw 140 pitches anymore. Like, I'm out. Traveling doesn't bother me. Harden bothers me.
Harden bothers you?
Yeah. He's a great player.
Harden bothers
He's a great player, but I've never seen, there's no player of his generation that has benefited more from the way he's officiated than James Harden.
I think that's fair to say, but it's not Harden's fault. He's just really good at making people foul him.
But
he's really good at making people foul him. Like he's not dominating the game by his pure athleticism. He's kind of outsmart the game. It's not as fun to watch, but you have to respect him for it.
There are more solo Russillo couch freakouts per Harden possessions than anybody in the league for an entire year. It's not even personal.
Favorite stat.
Right.
This is my favorite stat. Solo Russillo couch freakouts.
Per possession.
SRCFs.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
Keep track of SRCFs throughout the season.
That's my coach. That's my guy. He was my coach in Houston's celebrity game. He wasn't a real hands-on coach.
Yeah. More of a laissez-faire, like a Phil Jackson type. I get it.
Yeah, right. He wanted us to figure it out. Me and Bieber.
You and Kevin Hart. Joe Flacco's wife gave him some coaching. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Go ahead.
Keep it moving. We'll keep it moving.
All right. I was deferring to you on that one.
Keep it moving.
Trae Young did something good in a basketball game. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes. Guy's getting beat up on a ton, hits a deep game winner, and you know what? Good for him. He's going to get a ton of shots. I know that. He's going to get a ton of shots. And this is a good one.
He is. Then here's the thing. It's at Georgia Tech, so it's kind of in front of the home crowd, and he's now become a sympathetic figure. Because everyone is just saying the Atlanta Hawks traded Luka Doncic, essentially, for Trae Young. And you and I did the draft together, and we were both just astonished, disgusted by this move. And now it's just like everyone's just waiting for Trae Young to fail and loving Luka Doncic. And now he's become a sympathetic figure. Like, I'm rooting harder for Trae Young's success than Luka Doncic's success just because of the way the world has turned on him. Do you feel the same way?
I'm not going to go that far, but I like where you're going with this, because you're right. Like, whenever I'm kind of that guy, after a while, I'd be like, wait a minute, everybody wants this? Well, I'm going to go stand over here. I'm going to want the different thing now. I still think it was a terrible pick because I know the backstory of how this went down and the motivation behind it. And you're right. I mean, Trae is in this spot where it's not just about how good or bad he is as a pro. It's more about what Doncic ends up becoming. So, I am. I guess I'm saying, like, I'm there with you. I'm not rooting against him or anything like that. Like, we just started the segment saying, like, I'm happy he hit the shot because it's been so negative for him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It looked bad during the summer league and all that. But I don't know. He's going to get a lot of shots. I'll say that again.
Yes. So, someone went to one of those, like, haunted house scare things, these things in the Halloween season, and he got stabbed for real. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Dude, hit the brakes. Are you kidding me?
Just okay. So I believe it was in Nashville. And these things, it's like a haunted house and people jump out at you or whatever.
Yeah,
and dude got stabbed for real. For real stabbed.
Do you hear the backstory on this and how this went down? Because I'm like, how does that happen? So you go, well, what are you doing tonight? Be like, I picked up some part-time shifts at the haunted house. Be like, why are you bringing a knife? Be like, well, it is haunted.
If you bring a knife, you're going to use the knife. These things, I've been to these things before, and I've seen these people break character. You know what I mean? I've seen them break character and yell at someone in my group before, and I was like, wait a second. Now you're not being like the zombie guy who took us hostage. Now you're being like Steve, the failed actor in Los Angeles, taking out your aggression on my friend Jake.
Steve is always doing stuff like that. Yeah. So apparently somebody was like, oh, my friend is coming into the haunted house, and the guy handed the other person a knife and said, oh, you should stab him. And the person stabbed their friend in the arm, and they're okay. And they're like, what? Oh, my God, the knife is real. And the other guy was like, the person who actually did the stabbing didn't know the knife, thought it was a prop knife. I know this will surprise you, but I had a group of friends that maybe...
I am surprised you had a group of friends.
Right. We start there. But somebody got a little rowdy when Steve and his buddies jumped out and got a little too physical and broke out of character. So the guys, after probably a few beers in the woods, went back into the haunted house and started pounding on the zombies. Imagine, why do you have a black eye? Well,
what happened was I was working at this haunted house. I scared a guy who was with Ryan Russillo. Oh, you're the best, Ryan. Here's something that kind of baffled me. Apparently, the Timberwolves were working on a deal with the Rockets, and the Timberwolves asked for Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and some mix of draft picks. If you were the Rockets, would you trade Gordon, Tucker, and a couple picks or a pick for Jimmy Butler?
My first instinct is just to say yes because of where your window's at with Paul, and not that Harden's old, but I mean, Chris Paul, even though I love him, you go, okay, look, we bring in Butler. We hate what this contract is going to be for Jimmy Butler year 35. I mean, we're talking like $40 million a year. I'm not sure I want to do that with any team, but you're not worrying about that. You're worrying about these next 2 years. And on paper, whatever the picks ended up being with all the different protection, let's say it's sort of neutral and not some absurd unprotected thing down the road. Yep. The real hang-up in this isn't Gordon or the picks. It's that P.J. Tucker, for them, is incredibly important, especially the way they go small, and P.J. can defend such bigger players. I'd still probably do it, but I'd be worried after losing Ariza, also losing a guy like P.J.
I think it's fair. Like Mbah Moute, too. Like, one of the reasons they were so much better on defense last year because of Mbah Moute, Ariza, and P.J. Tucker. And if you remove all of them, you start to have some struggles defensively. But I do like this. Clint Capella, Carmelo Anthony, Jimmy Butler, Chris Paul, James Harden. Like, that's a team of 5 that I could see going up against the Warriors, boogie or no boogie. However, you are going to give real minutes to Michael Carter-Williams and Gerald Green. And that's the part that kind of like, if you start forecasting like, ooh, well, great 5, but it depletes your bench so much that you're like relying on Michael Carter-Williams to like do real basketball things in games.
Yeah, I mean, they got a couple other question marks at the end of the bench, and they'd probably have a shorter rotation unless they... You know, I think the biggest thing for the Rockets really is just trying to find a way to recapture the drive that they had last year. I don't know emotionally if they'll come back from that. I do think all those guys, you know, for the first 2, Mbah Moute and Ariza moving on, you know, what they did is they mimicked a lot what Golden State's been doing and what all these teams are trying to do. Like position players, like size players, so you can just switch all this stuff with the way people are running their offense. So I'm not writing them off whatsoever, but even though I don't like the Butler bill, for all these teams that want to trade for Jimmy Butler, there's a part of me that's like, do I really want to trade for a $190 million bill here if I have his right?
I think that's what everybody looks over. Is like, you're either trading, you're not just trading for Jimmy Butler, like you're trading for Jimmy Butler at a max deal, or you're just renting him, and then why would you just rent him for one season?
Yeah, I think Houston, if they look at that being the price tag, because I think, look, Eric Gordon's been terrific. But Eric Gordon in that system is the best version of Eric Gordon. There's wide open shots. They have it down to a T. He hits them. His drives are actually okay.
Ryan, I'm getting some. It's time for news that matters. I'm hearing that on a flight from Orlando to Cleveland, a woman was kicked off the plane because she brought an emotional support squirrel, and it delayed them 3 hours. Would that make you angry?
This is ridiculous. The note is fake, the squirrel is fake, and so are emotions.
I want to thank Marcus Spears for coming by, and I also want to thank Ryan Russillo for coming by again. I think we should just have a little asterisk at the end of Jalen and Jacoby, and then at the bottom in fine print, it'll say "and Russillo" sometimes. Are you cool with that, or is that it? We have to bump up your pay and your contract or something?
Yeah. I mean, you know,
all right, we'll talk to your guy. And everybody, make sure that you call 985-80-JALEN and leave us cultural or regional questions. We're going to do a cultural or regional segment with Jalen Rose tomorrow, so don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Jalen and Jacoby. Review us on the Apple app. Here's the thing. It's lame. It takes you 30 seconds. I hate even asking you to do it, but it makes a difference. Just give us 5 stars and review us. It does make a difference. So please do it, and I'll love you forever. We're not done, right, Kara?
We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
They my little guys. I love them.